including FBI officials, look.
Well, I don't know why that's funny.
Donald Trump's latest ad taking on Hillary Clinton, featuring the former Secretary of State, not merely chortling or chuckling, but cackling.
Yeah, as you just saw, and as the political newspaper The Hill reported yesterday, the image of Mrs. Clinton was superimposed over footage of the Benghazi flames following the terror attack on the American consulate there back in 2012.
So, for 2016, politically speaking, who will have the last laugh? For more on this story, we're pleased to be joined from Newsmax New York by the former editor-in-chief of the New York Times Magazine, Ed Klein. Ed is the author of the best-selling book, Unlikable: The Problem with Hillary. And you can read his latest reporting and opinions at his eponymously named website, edwardklein.com. So, Ed, knowing Hillary as you do you think she's laughing at this ad?
I'm sure she's not. But, you know, whenever Hillary cackles, it's like having your fingernails rubbing on a blackboard. Excuse me. It sort of turns everybody off. And I think Donald is sending a signal that he would be the most powerful opponent of Hillary Clinton in 2016.
Some folks in the mainstream media have deemed this ad as being kind of over the top. What do you think of it? Is it effective?
I don't think it's, I think it's very effective. You know, I go around America making speeches, and again I get the same questions from the audience in the Q&A area at the end of my speeches, and they ask me about Hillary's laugh all the time because it turns everybody off. So Donald has, as usual, found the weakest spot that he can and put his finger in there.
Well, Ed, as we take a look at this campaign, not a laughing matter to talk about national security since it's center stage. Hillary on the stump, talking tough. Let's listen to what she told supporters in Reno on Monday night.
I don't think it's smart for us to act like we are waging war on every Muslim in the world. That is not smart. These terrorists are killers, they're thugs, they're criminals. They need to be treated like that, not elevated as though they were representing a religion, because even though they claim to, they are not.
Your reaction to what Hillary had to say on the stump?
Well, I've thought all along that her effort to say that this is not Islamic terrorism is a huge mistake, because in fact it is Islamic terrorism. In the Islamic religion, there are various interpretations of what the Quran says. And among some members, the radicalized Islamists, they interpret the Quran to mean exactly what ISIS says it is, which is that it's a murderous jihadist religion. So to ignore that is to ignore reality. And I think Hillary is clearly playing to her left-wing base, which of course is pacifist and likes to be on the side of being goody two-shoes. But in fact, most Americans are very much aware that not some, but all of these bombings and terrible depredations are being carried out by Islamic terrorists.
But some would argue, Edward, that she may need the support if she were to become the next leader of the United States, the support of other Muslims in order to defeat ISIS. So some would argue that that might be a good strategy for her to adopt.
But you know, it's very interesting. Well, many of our allies in the Middle East, such as Saudi Arabia, also espouse a radical kind of Islamism. Not necessarily a murderous kind, but certainly an extremist kind. The Wahhabi religion of Saudi Arabia, for instance, doesn't allow women to drive on the street or to walk on the street without their faces covered. However, there are Muslims, of course, in Jordan, where it's a much freer society. So there are, in fact, as you just pointed out, a whole spectrum of Muslims. But for us to ignore the fact that this is a problem within the Muslim religion is to ignore reality. And when you do that, then you cannot really establish a defense against the attacks that are coming your way.
Hey, Ed, about 15 seconds to answer this. Bill Clinton was the master of triangulation. Is Hillary more inclined to try strangulation?
Well, Hillary certainly is not a triangulator. Hillary is a person who, from her earliest days, her Saul Alinsky radical days until today, has been much further to the left than Bill. And I do not believe that if she became president, she would triangulate and get along with the Republicans.
Four-letter
in
word
Congress,
times in
Bill
our
did.
way. Ed Klein, thank you so much. Have a great Thanksgiving. There's more straight ahead.